Welcome to lesson 13. This starts on page 439, and we're going to be doing assemblies. Um, Before we start, there is a zip file attached in Blackboard under this lesson. I think the easiest thing for you to do is to take that zip file, download it to your desktop, and unzip it, because SolidWorks is going to will have to access all of the files in it. And so this is going to be one of the longer chapters in this book. And so there are going to be a fair number of videos, but that's because I'm trying to keep each individual one short. I'm not sure how many there's going to be at this point. So there's two different types of assemblies in SolidWorks. There's a top down and a bottom up. We are going to be looking at one of those in this lesson. We're going to be doing the bottom up assembly. The top down is basically when we create that whole assembly at one time. We're creating that model, all the components, everything as we do it. Where the bottom up, we will create, and actually in this lesson, most of the components will be created for us. We create the components individually, and then we bring them in and we assemble them. And so there's some stages for that. And basically, we're going to create a new assembly with a template. And then we need to add the first component to that assembly. And then we're going to position that first component. And that first component is going to be fixed with all the other components coming in around it. We're going to look at the feature manager design tree and the symbols and how that differs with an assembly versus when we're creating the parts individually. We're going to look at mating the parts to each other. Basically, we can fix them and mate them in certain ways and at distances from one another. And then last, we're going to look at sub-assemblies. Okay, so if we come up here to File and then New, and if you don't have this, you might have this view. You may have this assembly icon here, either one, but if you don't, we can come over here to Novice. It does the same thing. We can double click on this, and it's going to get us into a spot where it looks like we can open a file. But for right now, we're going to back out of this, and we're going to set this up and save this as an assembly template. So basically what happened here is SolidWorks tries to start an assembly for us, but we're going to back out of it to set the template. And I want to also X out of this one, but we're still in the assembly mode. So this will be a metric assembly. So we can go down here and we can set our units if we wanted to. Again, and you can set up as many templates as you need, but I could also come in under my system options, and I could come here under assemblies, and I could select any number of options here. And then when I save it to a template, these are automatically going to load in. Once I have everything set where I want, I'm going to come up here to File. All right, so once we have the template where we want it and the option selected, I can come up here as Save As. And where we want to save this is in the C drive under Program Data. And then there's a SolidWorks folder. Mine is SolidWorks 2025, and in here there should be a template folder. Okay. And under here, so there's my name, and then, or the name my template, I named it assembly_mm. And the type of file that we want to save this at is a template file. And if we come up here, there should be an assembly template, which is a .asm. And then we're going to hit save. And now my assembly_mm, that's the name of, or that's how we're getting started. I can see that it saved it. The name is up here at the top as well. And now that's saved in my template folder for the next time I want to do or start a metric assembly. All right, now that we have that created, I can go up here to File, I go New, and now if yours is still on Novice, come over to Advanced, and in your template window here, you should have your assembly underscore mm that we created, and we can say okay. And now this window will pop up, and the part that we want to select, our first part is going to be our fixed part, or our base, our home base. So we're going to pick bracket. We're going to say okay. And now this kind of floats because it wants us to either connect it to, say, an existing origin that maybe we put in our template, or we're just going to click on the screen and place it somewhere. And the first part that we insert into our assembly is fixed. It's our home base. And so that stays fixed and everything else can move around it. And so I'm just going to come out here and I'm just going to click here in the middle. And now this is how we've started our assembly. So one thing to note about assemblies is we created our assembly template to be a metric template, but it will accept US and metric dimensions, and we can assemble those together. The thing to remember, though, is if we have to edit a dimension in the context of our metric template, we're going to be editing in metric dimensions. So again, we can intermix these, but we will be, once they're in the metric template, then they're kind of controlled by whatever the template is set to. So now that we've placed this first component in this assembly, we can't move it. And what I mean by that is by when we place this automatically lines up with my front, top, and right plane. So now, and that's why if we look down here, it's fully defined. And the book gives an example of a washing machine. If we want to create an assembly, it makes the most sense to start with, say, the frame of the machine, and we start adding things onto it. That's what the base part represents when we enter that into an assembly. And that's why a little thought goes into that when we create an assembly, is what do we want as that base part, and have things assemble around it. All right, so SolidWorks calls this the product space when we establish this. All right, I'm going to end this video here, and we will continue on the next one.